All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Making Comics weekly check-in with myself and the glorious Marshall Lee of Donkey Jaw Projects. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Now, before we kick things off, I always forget to do this. So, in light of that, where can people find you on the interwebs before we get started?
You can find me at donkeyjawprojects.com. You can find most of my links there. And patreon.com/donkeyjawprojects, which is where you can find and read my comics as they come up. And I will talk about a different Instagram that I created this week called Zillustrations. Just because, hey, why not? Go check that out. And you'll hear more about that probably in this episode. So,
Nice, nice. And you guys are already on my YouTube channel here. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe link down below. Otherwise, you guys can check me out at Chris McQuinlan Art and monkeyjunkcomic.com. So it's actually been 2 weeks since we caught up. Last week was, in all honesty, a really rough time for me. For anyone who's actually watched my YouTube videos of recent will understand why. But just in short, I had a bit of a burnout the weekend prior to the last week's check-in, and didn't really heed my body's advice in taking a break and tried to work through it, and kind of got myself into a very big mental slump to the point where I just needed a really solid break from literally everything. Um, so Marsh was gracious enough to say, "Yeah, no worries, we'll catch up next week." He could have been a boss and been like, "No, damn it, Chris, we're doing it. We're doing the damn episode." But he wasn't. He's a lovely person. Uh, so we're here essentially catching up on 2 weeks of comics and making comics and all of the good stuff and the bad stuff that we've been going through. So let's kick the whole thing off and start with you, Marsh, and tell us about the past 2 weeks. What have you been up to? What goals have you smashed? And you know, all the good stuff.
well, basically the same typical stuff. I worked on comics, but um, I've been working on this corncob Rob comic. Sorry, I got like a hair in my mouth. I'm trying to get out as I'm trying to talk. um, uh, this corncob Rob comic is going well. Probably could be going better as far as being closer to done. We don't have much more time left in this month, but you know, um, I'm working on it, and I kind of got distracted because financial stuff. Unfortunately, it's gotten really kind of crazy for me. Um, we didn't get a check that we were supposed to get, and it kind of messed me up, and I ended up having like overdrafts on my account, and then I was like negative for a couple days and just craziness. So like
Oh man.
now there's like charges because it's negative. It was negative, and it's like it's like on top of not having any money and barely being able to pay rent half the time. I got that. So I decided to try to like again figure out a way to make some money with art. Um, Trying not to like put the word out like, hey, commission me, because honestly, that's awesome and everything, and people were really gracious that first time. But I'm not trying to beg, stuff, and not only that, um, it just that source is not really, it's great. It was awesome that people helped, but like I need like the type of money you get from like illustration jobs and stuff like that. So I'm trying to work into that somehow. I created this Instagram called Zillustrations, um, and I'm trying to make it a place where I really like try to connect with people in like a more professional way. And I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. And also I really want to post like, I post my comics and stuff and they're fun and awesome and I really enjoy doing them and I like how they look and everything. But you know, there's also the kind of illustrations that take more time that kind of are more like the thing is like, you see these people who post like this hyper realistic work. And I'm not trying to go super hyper realistic, but people are always super impressed by that. And it's like to me, I'm like, well, if I wanted somebody to like draw something that's photorealistic, I would just take a photo. Like I can most artists, if they really put their mind to it, can do that. It's not like, they have something over anybody else. They just happen to like doing that kind of artwork. Not I don't have any issues with those people who do that. Like I get why you enjoy that because I also enjoy doing stuff that's very detailed and realistic. It's fun, it's like meditative and all that stuff. But that's not the kind of art I want to do when I'm doing my storytelling. And I like to be more expressive and artsy fartsy about stuff too. Um, so, it's just how I roll. But the fact of the matter is, you could post your fun cartoons and stuff, but people are going to be super impressed by other stuff. People who are kind of ignorant about art, people who are artists, they love the cartoony stuff because it's like how hard it is to make cartoony stuff look awesome. Um, so, I don't know. I'm just trying to, and even if it's cartoony, I don't care what kind it is. Like, I'm just trying to make finished illustrations that look really professional or good. And I
Yeah.
don't know that thought on what might work. I might be totally wrong. That might just be like me assuming and presuming a lot of things, that aren't actually true because obviously people have awesome illustration careers and they do all kinds of different styles. They do, sometimes styles that almost look primitive, stick figure type stuff and whatnot. So I'm just trying to figure out my way to do it. I don't know what that is, but I know people end up like even now, like the stuff I posted on this illustrations, I posted a bunch of old stuff and then I started putting some new stuff. Um, and I can tell the ones that are getting more traffic are the ones that have that kind of more detailed look and are just like, it's almost like you could like I could have predicted which ones, by it's kind of the detail and I basically want to make the kind of art that just make people be like, "Oh, this guy is amazing," even though I don't care about people saying that. Like, I'm doing it for trying to figure out how to get some illustration work. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Now that I'm doing it though, I'm realizing like Instagram and social media is kind of like the slow way to get there though, like to actually get to money. I hate to
Yeah.
say that 'cause I'm not
No,
these
it's true
guys
though. Like it's
money, but
definitely social media. You can't just jump on and expect like immediate results. You've kind of got to work your ass off to get to that point.
yeah, and I'm happy to do that. I actually really like I'm actually getting a lot of traction on my Instagram and I actually am glad I made it because it's an idea I've had for a long time. Um but
Yeah.
you know and I actually enjoy doing starting up Instagrams. Like I've already in I think 4 days I've already got like 160 something followers and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. That's
I
awesome.
just love like kind of doing that kind of legwork and stuff with Instagram specifically.
Yeah.
But what I think I need to be focusing on is some other tactics and techniques to just like hit people up directly. I think and get some illustration work. But that I'm not very as
Yeah.
well versed in. So
If you want any suggestions in that regard, what I would
yes.
do now that you're actually building up your social media and you've got this bit of a um, catalog of work on your illustrations page, start looking at companies, whether they're local companies or pretty much worldwide, and jump on. It could be like a plumber just start searching all the different plumbers in your area on Instagram. Check out like what their logos are, and if their logos are shit, and you know you can do a better job, just DM them and be like, "Yo, I'm a illustrator. I noticed like you've got a logo, but I think I could you know really help you um, grow your business with a new and better logo. My prices are blah blah blah. If this is something you're interested in, reach out to me, and we can work together on growing your business, you know, in a new way or something like that, or just hit up like local companies that look like they could use your work to make them look better.
Yeah.
So like approach them in a way that like you want to help them by offering your business to them, because they're not going to find you. Like as much as that sucks to hear, it's like you can't expect people to just find you and stumble across you. You've got to be
Yep.
like, yo, I'm doing this. Or like you're doing portraits at the moment. You could hit up people who like portrait pages. Like, hey, if you're interested in portraits, check out the stuff that I'm doing. Starting at $100 for an A5 black and white. You know, hit me up for more information if this interests you.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like it almost comes off as begging, I suppose, like depending on the way you look at it. But I look at it now in the way it's like you're a sales rep, you're representing yourself and selling your service, and
Yeah.
that's what companies do. So if you want to make money, you've got to be out there and um, show people that you exist and prove that what you do is worth their time and their money.
Yeah, those sound like awesome ideas. Do you have you had any success on any specific social media, like doing that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, Instagram. When I was doing the Kickstarter, I was doing a lot of DMing, just messaging people who like indie comic pages and things like that, and just sort of getting in touch with them and commenting on their stuff and being like, hey, check out my webcomic. Um, Sort of a different field. Webcomics are a little bit harder to push, I've noticed, but
Mm,
that's worked. Like just reaching out directly to people and like DMing, um, or even like Facebook messaging as well, is more effective than I ever thought it would have been.
yeah.
So, like, it's worth trying. It's worth putting in the extra time. Um, looking for those companies, or even just
Yeah.
looking for followers as well. Like, just reaching out to people and being like, "Hey, I noticed you like portraits. I do portraits too. Check out my page." I know people
Yeah.
see it on their Instagram all the time, like, "Oh, I hate this," but like, as an artist, I get why people don't like it. But for people who just like art and want to appreciate art, to jump out and go, hey, check out my stuff, they might be like, oh, wow, this guy is awesome. I'm glad he hit me up. And you
Right.
can even develop relationships with them that way too, because then you might not land a sale straight away, but in 6 months' time, they might be like, oh man, I really liked your art and I didn't have any money at the time, but I'd really love to get a commission now. And you'd be like, oh man, like all that work, just having a conversation with them paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that. As far as actual, like, have you done that with for actual? Like, I know you said you did it for your Kickstarter. Have you done that for actual, like, trying to get illustration work as well?
No, not so much. Not in a long, long, long time. I used to do it a little bit when I was like doing part-time freelance and reaching out to companies
Mm-hmm.
uh, and just offering illustration services. But because I wasn't really doing a lot of logo and branding stuff, it was a bit harder. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't do it much now, because if I started doing it now, I would start getting like I could get work, and I don't really want work at the moment. It sounds stupid, but I'd rather work on Monkey Junk, so I'm not really pushing my.
Oh no, I totally get it. It's how I've been most of my life. But now it's kind of rubber hitting the road time. So
I mean, like just researching on marketing in general, like would help. You just need to apply it to whatever it is that you're selling, which
yeah,
is your artwork.
yeah. No, this stuff sounds like
I think what you're doing too in generating different
this.
styles is really good too.
Yeah,
I think broadening your options for people is, some people might see it as sort of a negative, like just stick to the one style, but like you're obviously noticing that there's a market for a specific type of artwork and you're targeting it and you're already noticing a difference.
Yeah.
And if you're in the game to, make some money and pay the bills, you know, you could work a shit job and make money, or you could do artwork that you wouldn't necessarily do,
Right.
but make money, potentially make the same amount of money and you're still doing art.
Yeah.
Like, I'd find that like to be a pretty good compromise.
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting is I've always I think I've always gotten overwhelmed when I've tried to pursue making money with art because I've always been like, well, if I do this, this, and this, that's good, and maybe I'll get a couple things, but I'm never gonna, that's not gonna be enough money to live off of. And like what I'm realizing is I gotta stop thinking about like living off of the money and just think about can I get like one job and see where that leads type of thing, and like I don't need money to live off right now. I just need extra money to help pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I need to think of it. I've realized I need to think a little bit differently about it.
Yeah. So, like, you want to use it as a side hustle, essentially,
Yeah, for
rather
now. Yeah, I mean,
than
if it
yeah.
becomes something, yeah, sure, but
Have you considered other options as far as side hustles go as well? Like, buying, like, even just selling off some of your old stuff on eBay and things like that just to help out, or
yeah, I have. I probably should, but it's just like, ugh, I don't know. It's just annoying. Like I hate doing eBay stuff and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, maybe I should.
Like, if it's just to get out of a bind, that sort of stuff. It's like if you need to do it, you got to do what you got to do to keep a roof over your head. Sometimes
Yeah,
it does suck, like parting with the things that you've collected over time. Though.
yeah. I mean, there's plenty of stuff I could kind of part with, but also I don't really have much that's worth anything. I get what I want that, and usually it's not something that's really worth anything. Like I have tons of comics, but none of them are really worth anything.
Yeah, yeah, I'm about the same. No, well, that's interesting, man. I hope I hope it works out for you. But like, I suppose you just got to work hard, and you obviously are like hitting
Yeah.
up people and just creating good content, and you're obviously doing the right things to be gaining new followers. So if you can keep up, I mean, how long have you had the page for? A week?
Like 4 days, 5 days,
4 days.
something.
So if your growth continues at the rate that it's currently growing, I mean, in a month's time, like that's going to be awesome. Like you'll be what 500-600 followers in. That's pretty bloody good.
Yeah, 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 no doubt. So yeah, I'm working that. I'm also trying to keep tabs on my comic and stuff, but I made the like colored versions of the first two pages, but now I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna have time to do the colors now for until like later, you know. But you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure anyone who's on your Patreon like will understand as well. And that comes down to communication too. Just being like,
Well,
yeah, this is where I'm at.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep up with the comic. Like, it's still my goal to make a comic every month, but it's just gonna probably be a black and white one for this month.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, I'm all for black and white comics, man.
yeah, no doubt. So, what about you? How's your couple
And
weeks been going?
yeah, my everything's sort of running smoothly at the moment. Um, sort of had a
Actually, since we talked, your Kickstarter funded, and now the whole Kickstarter's over, and that was holy crap, that was a tight little race there, but it
oh
happened.
man, yeah, yeah, that was really interesting. Like the second last day, I was pretty much ready to throw the towel in and just admit defeat.
Mm,
And then I just started hustling and messaging everyone and like posting on Instagram, going crazy, and we made it. I don't know how. Honestly, didn't expect it to happen, and then we made it through. So that was cool. It was interesting though because after we'd reached the goal, we had a few people pull out at the same time. Like once we'd become successful, they sort of shifted gears, and I was like, oh, that was really weird. But luckily, we
Yeah.
stayed above the line, and we did it just barely.
Yeah.
So we're both pretty pumped. After that happened, like that's sort of when I had the burnout. Like the Kickstarter was over, and I did a drawing event for one of my local comic book shops, and that. I think that was sort of like the icing on the cake, is getting that burnout, and that sort of threw a huge spanner in the works. Um,
Right.
so still waiting for Kickstarter to deliver on the funds, which should happen some point this week, hopefully. Because that's usually like a 2 week process. So I've trying to been holding off on a few things before I do anything for that, just to make sure that everyone actually pays what they're meant to pay, and if certain people don't pay, then I need to refigure out my costs and everything. But I have officially ordered all the books. I actually sent them off today to the printers, which is awesome. Um, I'm organizing the printing for the exclusive print, which is actually what I'm working on now. So I've just got to do the colors on that, and then that's ready to go. Um, so everything's sort of coming together, and I've also just been trying to keep up with the pace of doing 1 page a week, which I'm a little bit behind on. Just everything sort of dumped in at once. I'm trying to remember what happened last week now. Like last week, I actually had like one of those success seminars to go to on Tuesday, which was really cool. I got to see Gary V. So anyone who I know a few people who I'm friends with follow Gary V on YouTube. That was really inspiring. But to be honest, like I could literally have just watched his YouTube videos and learnt the same thing from him. But it was really cool to see him up on stage and in person. And I was lucky enough, I shot through a tweet just to like ask a question, because during the day they were like, oh, if you want to ask Gary Vee a question, put a tweet with this hashtag and we'll pick a few for him to answer at the end of the day. And out of the 4 questions, one of them was mine, which was really cool.
Sweet. Did
So,
he mention you too?
hey,
Did he mention you too?
they did, yeah. It's like my tweet actually went up on the big screen, and he was like sort of answered me directly, and it was really interesting because I'd asked to him. My question was, how can I take my indie comic project, i.e., Monkey Junk, from sort of small scale to be on a much higher scale? And his response was like really threw me back, and like has really made me think a lot lately. His suggestion was to print out like 1,000 copies of my comic book and just hand them out for free. Just give them to comic book shops to hand out, go to conventions and just hand them out for free, and just get like maximum exposure by doing that. And I was like, oh man, like the cost on that would be insane just to do that. As much as I would love to, like, get the attention that would garner, like it would cost me 2 grand just to print those books, and I just don't have that kind of money. So I've been trying to think of other ways that I can do that. But then, like, it reminded me, I'm like, the whole comic is free to read on the internet anyway. It's not like it's not free. It's just trying to get the attention onto it.
Everybody's got a different method of doing that, and if you have free ability to do, I mean, if yeah, like you said, like it's kind of like your web comic is that. I think there is a difference though between like doing the web comic and what he said, because nobody will find. I mean, people. I don't know. I think there's something, because like everybody's got a free web comic, but like if somebody handed me a free comic, I'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. Like and I don't know. It's like there's something extra to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's actually really good advice. Obviously, like you said, it's expensive, but You know, if there was a way you could find like to make a almost a cheaper version of that comic, I don't know. Or,
Yeah.
you know, you could also like obviously it's too late for this now, but you could build that into your Kickstarter. You know, I want to make 1,000 specifically for that purpose.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really
it's
frustrating that
actually a really good idea. Like I might like steal that idea actually whenever I finally do it, you know.
Yeah, well, Dave just commented in the chat, which was, how about instead of printing a full comic book, you print an eight-page ashcan with a link to the site or to your store? And that was actually my next thought after I was like, I can't print a whole comic. I was like,
Yeah.
what if I just printed half the comic book and then handed that out? Like, that's a good start. I could just do it as a half size ashcan and get that out. Like, that would get the word out just as much, which would be really cool. And then people would still have to go back and read the full comic.
Yeah.
So I have considered that. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it for the next convention, nor the money to do it for the next convention, but that is definitely something I wouldn't mind doing.
Yeah.
The other thought was even just doing like posters or postcards, which had like some cool artwork on it, and then all the information on the back, and I would just hand those postcards out to like everyone. Um,
Yeah.
it's not quite the comic, but it's a physical thing that people can take with them, and if that if they really dig the artwork, they'll hold on to it.
Yeah, I love the idea of postcards for some things, and I think that for this it would be good too, but it probably wouldn't have the same impact because the thing is when you're handing out a free comic, you know, you're getting a reader, you know, if they read it, you know, and
Mm,
if they read it, they could, it's the potential that they could get hooked, and if they get hooked, then they'll come back for more. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Everyone like Dave, Teresa, and James are all just saying the same things now. They're like, "Yeah, do an A5 ashcan on a photocopier. Like that's perfect." So I'm
Yeah, I mean, I've
trying to think
printed
of a
I've
logistical
gone
way.
to like Staples, like which I don't know if you guys have that, but just an office supply shop where they have printing. And I mean, that's where I've printed all of my comics so far, you know, the mini comics and stuff. And it's
Yep.
actually ridiculously cheap. Like people are surprised when I sell them for cheap, and I'm like, well, it literally costs like 25 cents to print one
Yeah. I mean,
book or
like,
whatever.
I could potentially do it at work. Like, I could just take I could just take a stack of paper and print it at work and staple it at home. Like, that's something I could easily do. So,
Yeah.
like, that definitely is an option. Maybe something I'll think about this week. I've got a show coming up. My first show coming up in a week, 2 and a bit weeks.
That's actually like another cool aspect to that is maybe you could print the whole first issue that way. And then like cuz I could if it was me and I like really liked it and got hooked by the story, like I would want to get the actual issue, you know what I mean? So like I don't know, that might I know it's a little bit more expensive though, but and more complicated to try to put those together, but I don't know. It it's it's an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna have to think on this now, like brainstorming like this, and actually everyone getting involved, like with their suggestions, has made me think that maybe it is more plausible than I thought. Especially the idea, like people love zines, and if it's like a free zine, they can literally just take. It's like, oh, hey, you can buy my comic. It's $8. Like, oh, I can't really afford it. Oh yeah, sick. Here, have the ashcan. It's like half the comic for free, and they'll be like, all right, like that would just blow your mind too. Like, oh, I just told the dude I couldn't buy a comic, and he just gave half of it to me for free. So
Yeah,
what the hell? So
yeah.
that could be cool. That yeah, yeah. I think I'm going to work on that this week. To be honest. So thank you everyone for your feedback, and thank you Mark for that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, like that was a really good thing. There was like other speakers at the show, and it was just really inspiring. I got heaps of notes. It sort of really inspired me to think forwardly about how I'm going to take Monkey Junk beyond being just an indie comic. Like we're already talking about doing a children's book adaptation of each chapter, so we can actually target a separate audience with the same content, and we'll just
Yeah,
rewrite it. Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, like I was just looking at the way other properties do it, like Adventure Time do children's books plus the comics plus the animation, plus toys plus video games, all that sort of stuff. We've toyed with the idea of doing a video game in the near future, because there's so much available now to do that. Yeah, so it's pushed a lot of ideas and motivation towards it, and it got me really fired up. And I did this really crazy fired up video for YouTube like the day afterwards, and just pretty much telling people to just like nut up or shut up. If you're gonna do a comic, fucking do it. No, I think I offended a couple of people, but I actually got like responses from people. I don't really get many direct messages from my videos from people, so it obviously lit a fire up under a few people's butts, which was really cool. I think that definitely helped get me out of my slump as well, just being fired up and then also helping fire other people up. And yeah, I've just been trying to do the juggle, trying to get the comic work done, also trying to get this children's book done, which sort of leads me into my goals for this week. I'm finishing off my exclusive print now and probably will finish it tomorrow morning. But for the rest of this week, my sights are pretty locked on the children's book. I'm going to be working really hard to try and get as much done in the children's book this week, and actually going to put Monkey Junk on hold. So like my morning routine and everything will just be purely focused on the children's book, just because I want to get it out of the way. Like if I could focus really hard for the next 2 weeks, I should be able to get it done. I'm pretty sure this is the same thing I did the last time I did a children's book, where I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do one focused week of working on it, smash it out, get the client happy, and get paid and walk away. And then I can work on Monkey Junk, morning and night, and be a lot more productive, and not have that weird thing looming over my head. And not to gloat or anything, like you're in a given your situation, but I don't need that client work at the moment. For me, it's just a thing. Like I'm doing it because I've done other things for this client. In fact, I could maybe even suggest you to them for the next book, if that would help you out. But yeah, I just want to get them out of the way. They're lovely. I'm not saying they're not horrible. It's just the time consumption. I want to focus more on Monkey Junk and get back onto that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's my goal for this week, is not do any Monkey Junk and just work on this children's book.
That's your making comics goal.
That's my making comics goal, is to not make any comics this week.
Well, as much as that does sound counterintuitive in some ways, I can see how it's actually going to help your comic down the road. So,
yeah, it'll be beneficial to my time beyond the children's book. So, yeah, just got to get beyond that one, I suppose, hurdle in a way, and then I can get back on track. So, yeah. What about you, man? What goals have you got for this coming week?
Well, let's see. When's the end of the month officially? I'm trying to see. The end of the month officially. Okay, so we still got a few days after the next update, but a day or two after the next Making Comics with Marsh and Chris show, I have to, at that point, definitely publish this comic. So, getting this thing done, really, because that weekend is going to be, the weekend before is going to be the time that I really have to finish it up. If it's not almost finished by then I'm going to be struggling.
Yeah.
And then, so, I mean, it's possible. I think I have 2 more pages. I'm going to try to finish this part of the story in 2 pages, to a point where it can be continued. And then, that's actually not too hard, because these pages, like, they're small. Like I measured them up the other day, to like a typical comic page, and they're actually like at size of like a typical comic book page. So I don't know, like it's not hard to do a comic that's as small as it is or whatever to
Yeah.
as far as time wise. So um, I think it's certainly doable. But I guess that's my goal, and then also, I want to, try to drum up some work. So I'm gonna try to do some of these things you mentioned, and hopefully, maybe some other people will have some suggestions and stuff, because I really need to do the things that actually make money, so I can catch up on bills. Like, I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to tell my landlord that I just have to make it up to him, because I probably won't be able to pay the full rent this go around if I want to continue to pay the full rent, from here on out, because I'm just too behind at this point. So, I really want to try to take action on. I, it's so like nerve wracking, like I haven't done the pro illustration thing too much, and there's certain steps that it's like, if you really want to do it, you got to do some of these things. And I've just always, because I wasn't so serious about it, just not done those things. Like you're saying, this stuff you're saying, like contacting people and that kind of thing. So I got to try to do some of that this week, I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be good too because you'll get better doing it as you go along too. Like I was always really self-conscious when I started illustrating because I was always nervous about saying the right thing or talking to the right people, or you'll get better at it the more you do it, just like anything. Um,
Hmm.
just getting past that fear of just randomly contacting people and asking for work. Um, I don't like that might not be as much of a struggle for you. For me, that was the hardest part. Once I got beyond that and realized, like, literally the worst that can happen is they just don't respond.
Yeah.
It's like, like that's nothing. Like that's no skin off my nose at all. Like
Yeah.
maybe 5 minutes of my time. But when you collect that, like if you message, 20 people, but and one person comes back to you, like all that time invested is worth it.
Right.
So just get out there and get out of your shell, and also like if you're doing promotional stuff on your Instagram, um, make sure that you do stories, tag in like a few people, like your favorite artists and stuff. Like maybe do some highlights and get them involved, and ask other people to promote you as well. Like you're obviously in a stage where you need to hustle, so any exposure you can get from other people will be good. Um,
Hmm.
especially people who do commissions, like someone like Gaz who does regular commissions. Like I don't think he's actually taking commissions on at the moment, but for him to, if you could ask him to promote it, he might actually hit an audience where they'd be like, "Oh, I really want a Gaz commission, but I can go hit up this Marsh guy while Gaz isn't doing anything." Um,
Yeah.
like that sort of thinking. You want to get yourself into. Um,
You were talking about like hitting up like plumbers and whatnot for logos. One thing is I don't, and I think it's possible maybe I can create like a page on my website, but I don't have anything that shows like graphic design work. So it's
yeah,
kind of like I don't really have a lot of experience with that. But the thing I was kind of trying to target, but I don't know, maybe this isn't a good idea, because usually people who make music are in the same situation as us. They don't have any money. But I started targeting like hip hop artists and stuff, and
yeah,
trying to see if I could do, or like labels and stuff, and see if I could do like album covers and stuff, because that's one thing I actually have some experience with.
yeah, dude.
I've done like 4 or 5 album covers. They I don't really want to show them because they're actually not that great, but but yeah, I don't know. Have you ever done anything with album covers and stuff, or do you think that's like maybe not that lucrative?
I haven't specifically done that. I think the closest thing I've ever done with musicians is actually do like portraits and stuff and like cartoon
Mhm.
portraits of them and tag them in it just to get like a bit of recognition and get them to like share it on their pages.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's a wicked idea. Definitely hit them up, whether it's like doing cover art or whether it's doing gig posters as well. Like you
Mhm.
can look at doing that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe even take some of this, like you've already got a catalog of artwork already. Take some of that artwork and repurpose it for different things.
Mhm.
So, like you've got,
Oh yeah, like do a mock-up cover with like some of my art or something.
yeah, dude, like your corn guy that I can see on your screen right now. If you just took the character from that middle panel,
Mhm.
isolated everything, and then put it behind like just a tripped out background or something with a title that says complex, you know,
Mm.
um, corn of the con or something like that. Bam, you've got like a mock album cover that you can put into your portfolio. Like,
That's
done.
that's
Like, you
awesome.
save yourself hours of work.
I was thinking about doing mock-ups, but I was thinking about making all new art for it, but that makes
No,
even more
yeah,
sense.
save yourself as much time as possible, man. Like I when I was doing promo art for Monkey Junk, I was really daunted by the fact that I'd have to keep making new artwork, and I was like, I literally just did a 20-page comic. I have like 100 panels worth of artwork that I could use, and that's what I did. Like I just went and got all my favorite panels, isolated, my favorite sections, and just put graphics and stuff on it. I was like, bang, promo art. Like I was so stuck in this idea that I needed to create art every single time. But like every piece of art you do, you can repurpose it up to 10 or more times to
Yeah.
fit different categories of you know industries.
Hmm.
So
That's
you
a
could
great
that
idea.
corner of the cob guy, you could do an album cover. You could also do a gig poster featuring him. Um, you could do him as a logo. He would work really well for like a skateboard logo.
Hmm.
Um, you could even do him for like a horticulture company, like um, corn. Corn on the cob is really cool, and just make it look a little bit more, you know, friendly for um, kids who want to eat who need to eat corn or something like that. Or um,
Awesome
not
idea.
not so corny anymore. And
Yeah.
bam, like quick slogan. You've got the corn guy. Kids think corn is cool, and now they're going to buy it because you made them think it was cool. Like you can repurpose it to like a ton of stuff. You just got to
Yeah.
start thinking in a more marketing mind. Like, here's one picture. How can I make this work in 10 different ways? Write them down, and then bam, just do them. Bit of Photoshop work, dump it into Illustrator, put some titles on it or something, and you're done.
Yeah, that's great feedback because I mean, honestly, I don't think that way. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. You
Oh,
know,
dude, I never used to
when
as
I
well.
try to think of like what products, like I have a hard time even thinking what do illustrators even make, because all the illustrators I follow, they don't show the stuff they do for clients. They only show, their own art. So it's like I don't even know what to make. So that's all great ideas.
Yeah, like I never used to think like this either. It wasn't until like I started doing a graphic design job where I had to like think more about marketing and how what I'm doing actually sells a product,
Hmm.
and with Monkey Junk because I want to work Monkey Junk into an actual thriving income.
Yeah,
I need to start thinking more wisely about what I was doing and how to utilize it in the best possible way to be
yeah,
time smart. Because time's like the biggest asset and liability for me at the moment. I can't be spent wasting it, but I need to be using it to create content too.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I highly recommend. I know I preach the dude a lot, but maybe start listening to a bit more Gary Vee stuff again. You might sort
Yeah,
of fire up your butt a bit more.
yeah, absolutely. Especially just kind of thinking with this stuff in mind as opposed to, my typical thinking about comics and stuff. So, yeah, that's a good idea. Love Gary Vee. He's cool.
Yeah, he's good, man. He fucking speaks the truth. No pussyfooting around.
No doubt.
All right, man. We've probably been going for just under an hour, but I think we might wrap it up now because I got to get moving, and I'm sure you need to go to work soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, before we wrap it up, let's remind everyone where they can find you online, man, and pimp your shit so people know where they can commission you.
You can go to donkeydrawprojects.com and click on the, if you're on your phone, it's like a drop down menu, but wherever you find it, the tab that says illustration, that's where you find like my quote unquote portfolio or whatever. So you can check that out. And, illustrations on Instagram, I'll just put for now. You guys can check out my other links next time. I'll say them.
All right, and as I said earlier, you guys are already on my channel, so you guys can check us out here every week. Every second week. Every other week that we are on Marsh's channel, and the links are down below. Otherwise, you guys can catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook by following @Chris McQuinlan Art. And you can also check out Monkey Junk for free by checking out monkeyjunkcomic.com, or also checking out the Instagram page and Facebook page @monkeyjunkcomic, where you can you'll find all the links if you want to pre-order the comic now that the Kickstarter is officially over. You can pick your book up there if you we're sort of waiting for the Kickstarter to finish or whatever. That's us for another week. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone who joined in on the chat and got involved. We really appreciate having you guys here. And thank you to everyone who's watched the video after this recording. Please drop a comment down below and say hello and let us know what you thought of this episode. And we will catch you all next week on Marshall's channel. Have a lovely evening, and we will see you then.
Later.
Bye.